with a look at the Keystone State.
Yeah, John. Well, let's take a look, kind of building on what George was just taking you through there. Big picture in Pennsylvania. And by the way, when you do all of these road to 270 scenarios, I think everyone probably does these at home at some point. It is hard almost for either candidate to find that path to 270 without Pennsylvania. It's so big in terms of the number of electoral votes in that battleground type of state there. So it's such a crucial state, even among the battlegrounds. And the range here is so narrow. 2020, when Biden carried the state, look at it. The margin was about 80,000 votes statewide. Now, remember, Trump carried it in 2016 over Hillary Clinton. The margin then was about 44,000 votes. So between 44,000 for Trump, 80,000 for Biden in a state this big. That's the kind of area we're talking about in terms of, the number of votes you need to swing. And that's why what George was just talking about is so significant, because we talk so much about the Philly burbs. We talk about Pittsburgh, but, he's talking there about Berks County, where Reading is, Lehigh County, where Allentown is, Luzerne County, that's where Hazleton is. Those three cities have the highest share of Hispanic population of any cities in Pennsylvania, and something very interesting politically happening in those three cities. Because remember, we're showing you here, between 2016 and 2020, Pennsylvania moved toward the Democrats. It went from Trump to Biden. It moved several points to the left. But in those heavily Hispanic cities, the three biggest by concentration in the state, take a look. Here's Allentown, Lehigh County. This has the highest concentration of Hispanics in Pennsylvania. It's 54% Hispanic. And look at this. The trend has been toward Republicans. The state was moving toward the Democrats between 16 and 20. But in Allentown, Clinton won it by 42 in 16, fell down to 35 in 2020. This is an area we've talked so much about, the polls showing Trump making more inroads with Latino voters. This is the kind of place where the Trump folks think this trend can continue. Can they knock it down into the 20s this time? Could they do even better than that? Again, you'll see it here. City of Hazleton. Look at the transformation of Hazleton in 2000. She was 5% Hispanic, now more than 60% Hispanic. And again, look at this trend. It was blue in 2012, Hazleton was, for Obama. And then Trump comes along. He carries it by 5. He improves it to 11. Again, this is the kind of place that Trump folks think they can do better. And again, this is very much a majority Hispanic city. Or Reading, again, this is where George was, in Berks County. And you just take a look right here. It's overwhelmingly Democratic. But look, from 2012, when Barack Obama won re-election, to 2020, when Biden carried Pennsylvania, that's a drop of basically 20 points in the Democratic margin here in a heavily Hispanic city. So the trend in the most Hispanic cities in Pennsylvania, as the state was getting more Democratic in 2020, they were becoming more Republican. So when you think of that very narrow margin there, overall statewide, Biden winning by 80,000, Trump winning by 44,000, these are the kinds of cities where the Trump campaign thinks continue this improvement. There could be tens of thousands of votes that switch just because of that. So that's the significance within Pennsylvania. Yeah, well, as you say, on the House side here, we had this about a month ago in New York, the story of a member of the so-called squad losing in a Democratic primary. Let me show you how it happened in the Cori Bush race. Incumbent Cori Bush losing to challenger Wesley Bell in the Democratic primary. This is the 1st congressional district of Missouri. I'm going to zoom in here because it's geographically small, but population dense here. And basically, the story here is there's St. Louis City. It's the city of St. Louis is entirely within this district. But the population in St. Louis has been really going down. It's under 300,000 now. So the district isn't just St. Louis. It's also St. Louis County. You get into more suburban areas there, some smaller cities. There's a bit of a significant contrast between the city of St. Louis and St. Louis County. And you see it in the results. In the city of St. Louis last night, Cori Bush won by high single digits over Wesley Bell. Then out in the St. Louis County portion of the district, a very different story. Wesley Bell double digits there. Cori Bush won by There's some smaller cities. There's a bit of a significant contrast between the city of St. Louis and St. Louis County, and you see it in the results. In the city of St. Louis last night, Cori Bush won by high single digits over Wesley Bell. Then out in the St. Louis County portion of the district, a very different story. Wesley Bell double digits there over Bush. When Bush first won this seat 4 years ago, she also unseated an incumbent member of Congress. That was William Lacey Clay. And back then, she also lost St. Louis County, but it was only by 4 points, while winning St. Louis City by about the margin she did last night. So the difference for Bush between when she won the seat and losing it in this primary last night was in St. Louis County, the floor kind of falling out for her there. And again, it adds up a close race here, but a 6-point difference here. The other thing, too, is, again, when I'm talking about the population declining in St. Louis City, when Bush won this seat in 2020 in that primary, 60% of the vote in that primary came out of the city of St. Louis. Last night, again, it's down to 53%. So more kind of weight, population, voting power-wise now in the county portion of the district. So that is Cori Bush losing, again, another squad member there. And just take a look quickly. You mentioned in Michigan, no surprise in these primaries last night for the Senate. On the Democratic side, Alyssa Slotkin, this was expected, winning the Democratic nomination. On the Republican side, Mike Rogers, again, expected, winning the Republican nomination. But what this race, the significance of this race in November, obviously it's about Senate control, but more specifically, it's this. The Democrats need to win 2 of the 3 of Montana, Ohio, West Virginia, 2 of the 3 red states that they now have seats in that they're trying to hang on to have any realistic chance of controlling the Senate. They got to win they got to win 2 of those 3, likely. You get to a state like Michigan, this is one Republicans would like potentially to pad a potential majority in the Senate. This is the kind of seat for Democrats that sort of must win in addition to finding a way to win in those red states. So it's a huge race in terms of the Senate here. But for Democrats, it's much more if they have any chance of controlling the Senate. This one's must win for them. Republicans have paths to Senate control that don't require them to win Michigan.